started with me actually approaching Orlando with a song that I had written in our freshman year of college. And I had grown up on Brazilian music, living in a small town, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and hearing Brazil 66 and Antonio Carlos Jobim, so I was really in love with this music. So when I heard there was a Brazilian on campus, I thought, oh boy, let me ask him if he can write some Portuguese lyrics. So I approached Orlando and I started playing this song, which later turned out to be Num Dia Azul, which is the title track of our first vinyl recording. I saw this little spark in his eye, and so that was that. Our musical relationship began, and also, I guess our romance started back then.
I finished my course in classical composition, but we started the band in 1978, which was our junior year. Prior to that, I took Patricia to Brazil for the first time. So we spent 3 months in Brazil, December, January, and February, the summer months. We went to Bahia, we went to Rio, we went to Minas Gerais, and we actually brought a drummer, a friend of ours, Carlos Alves Coquinho, that played in my rock band in Brazil. He came to North Carolina with us, and we started playing together as a trio, and we called it Minas.
To an American, Minas had much more of a poetic sound to it. It also, for me, it was reminiscent of the time that I had spent in Brazil. I loved the landscape of Minas and the Mineiros, the people from Minas. The group really evolved from the beginning idea, which was to play the music of Sergio Mendes, which I already knew, which had English and Portuguese, and I was learning more and more Portuguese. But we also were influenced by Flora and Ayrton and a lot of the Brazilian artists like Milton Nascimento of that time. So once we got through the phase of doing the Brazil 66 music, we started incorporating more jazz, wider influences, and our original sound. We started incorporating our own compositions. So that's when the sound really started becoming the Minas sound of what we play today.
And the time, is there something in the moon or the stars that decide
Sergio Mendes is really important because he picked up these great songs from Brazil, like Mais Que Nada, Samarina, and he did English versions of those songs. And that was almost like translating that sound from Brazil into an American audience. He combined it with American pop and gave it very interesting arrangements and orchestration. And so he had a formula that really worked for the international market. We also have come up with this idea of doing tributes. So we did the tribute to Getz Gilberto, the album, the classic record, in which we go and perform the entire record, as well as include some of our own compositions that were influenced by that record. We also do another tribute, which is Sergio Mendes in Brazil 66. And so we studied that music closely, but we also added our own arrangements. Well, I grew up listening to the Beatles and playing the Beatles. In fact, I learned English by singing Beatles songs. So the Beatles have been a part of my life ever since I was a young teenager. Some other people in Brazil have done Beatles in Bossa Nova, and we decided that would be an interesting project for us to do. So we came up with our own versions and our own arrangements, and we're incorporating a lot of the rhythms from Brazil. Our project is not only bossa nova, but it incorporates different regions of Brazil. Music from the north of Brazil, the Nordeste, the Baião, and then Bahia, the Axé, and some other influences from Brazil as well.
This is sort of a continuation of the marriage of American and Brazilian music. I think what we're bringing to the Beatles music is a certain sensuality. It's a different singing style. I always feel when you sing Brazilian music, there is an intimacy in the way that you present the vocals. We're also extending the harmonies more, making them more complex, like bossa nova harmonies, but we're also bringing in these different percussion instruments that are exotic, like the berimbau, and we're flavoring the music with all the good stuff from Brazil.
We were talking about the space between us and the people who hide themselves behind the
A lot of people love the Beatles, and they may not be interested in Brazilian music or bossa nova per se, but maybe through the Beatles it will introduce those people to Brazilian music. We have a program called Brazilian Adventure.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We teach not only about the culture of Brazil, but about music itself. We let the kids touch and play a lot of the samba instruments, and then we do batucada with the kids. And this program of ours has been presented to over 500,000 kids in the Philadelphia area.
The wonderful thing about it, it introduces an aspect of Brazilian music that is social. Like when you go to Carnival or the street music, it's happening in the streets. People are reacting, they're getting involved. They're not just sitting at a concert. We're all experiencing the music together. I think what makes Brazilian music very special is it's upbeat. It has this undercurrent of rhythm that is very similar, people compare it to the human heartbeat. It always has that lift in it. And on top of that, you have the complexity of the harmony and melodies that I think are, pull the listener into a music that has depth, but at the same time, it has this lightness of being. So when you hear Brazilian music on the radio, I mean, usually you feel that sun and that feeling that comes with it.
Here comes the sun, and I say it's all